Engine, listen to her hound roar. Met her on the tension, begging you to touch and go. Highway to the Lucas and Zack podcast. Riding through the Lucas and Zack podcast.
Yes, we are here. If you had not realized what this episode was about already by the title, hopefully that would have given you an indication that we have moved on to a new month. We have moved on to Plane Month, and if you do a month on plane movies, you really can't do a month without Top Gun. So me and Zach are not Top Gun experts, so we had to invite the Top Gun, the Tom Cruise expert himself, Mr. Chance Ellison, our first returning guest, to come back to the program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Chance told us that he would only do episodes that featured Tom Cruise.
Yes.
It was
or homoerotic volleyball. Either way, this one fits.
We're going to do homoerotic volleyball month coming up in March.
Wait, does Castaway count? Is there something going on between Wilson and Tom Hanks and Castaway?
Obviously. You missed that?
Okay.
You did not realize that the fleshlight was created after the Castaway film?
After Castaway.
Are you just saying he fucked the ball?
Yes.
There's other things you could. There's like coconut shells. There's sand. Like that. I mean, no,
the ball. Like the ball is the obvious choice.
My coworkers that started listening to this show.
You just said related to masturbating. Yes, use the sand because everyone in life has always been like really hot sand.
Like the motion and the movement will be pretty fluid.
Yeah, because if there's anything sand doesn't do, it's chafe or rub really badly against your skin.
Zack Ford does not understand sand.
You think it's safer to fuck a volleyball and like a hardened volleyball that's been on the coast?
100% either better than sand.
You ever tried rubbing sandpaper on your skin?
Okay. We're gonna sponsor an experiment. We need volunteers. If you're interested in participating in this experiment, please email Lucas in his private email and Twitter account.
Yikes! I'm excited for those emails. Yes, we have Chance back. Zach is here. We're not going to. Zach is always here though. He doesn't let me do an episode without him. I've tried. It doesn't work. He just shows up anyway. Yeah, and Zach doesn't understand sand, which is, I think, the moral of this opener. Let's continue on to our normal opener, which is, of course, the last Letterboxd movie. Zack Ford, why don't you start us off the last movie you watched on Letterboxd?
Real. Hell, I'm not prepared for this. I'm like, Zach, what are you going to talk about? And we just forgot to cover this. And I'm going to... I watched That Thing You Do, because I'm still going through all these Tom Hanks movies. I just can't let it die. The Thing You Do is pretty fun. I feel like some of the characters are fairly inconsistent. I can't get a full touch on, but it doesn't matter because it's just a highly watchable movie. I think the quality of the song is really important. It kind of makes me understand Fountains of Wayne a little more, have a little more appreciation because the lead singer of Fountains of Wayne, Adam Schlesinger, wrote the Thing You Do song. And I think what's important is one, it's a grower. You're kind of, this is light ditty, but they play it 30 times through the movie, and you start to just enjoy it and fall for it the more they play it and not get annoyed, which is such a weird thing to happen with that kind of song. But they make it so believable how that song can be this fast rising lightning bolt of a song. This band had this fast moment, and make it believable in how they aren't lasting, and they didn't go into melodrama of them getting drug addicts and fighting each other and all fuck each other's girlfriend, which essentially is what happened. Just in the chaste 1950s kind of way. They don't have the evil agent that you'd expect. Tom Hanks is the right level of manipulative and corporate, but still a fairly genuine character. So I think the added sweetness instead of cynicism that you would expect with a band falling apart movie is pretty lovable about it. And too bad Tom Hanks then went on to direct Larry Crown was his follow-up to this.
Yeah,
he could have had a better directorial career.
Could have been the modern day Charles Lawton.
That's your go-to. Just one and done it, and that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think actors who are just one and done, he's the first one coming to my head.
Yeah, the two American classic films, Night of the Hunter and That Thing You Do.
Give it 10.
I've never seen this movie, so
Oh really?
yeah, it's I think it's.
it.
I've seen almost all of the 2000s, 2010s, and 80s Hanks. There's like a couple in the 90s I haven't seen.
When
This is
we
one of
do
them.
our hybrid month where we combine all the things we passed did and we do Tom Hanks and Make It a Band part 2. What's the thing you do?
It's gonna be a very short month. Have you seen the movie, Chance?
I have, yeah. I actually really enjoy that thing you did. I don't watch it a ton, but every time I watch it, I like really, really enjoy it. Yeah, I think that I do like the concept of like being the wonders, being like literal one-hit wonders. I think the band has great chemistry. I think that it's jumpstarted a lot of careers. Like it jumpstarted Charlize Theron. Like that was, I believe, her first role. If not her first, one of her first.
Isn't her first like she has the classic first role in that she's in like the third part of some horror franchise.
Oh.
I believe she has the classic. I'll look this up. I believe she has the classic debut role where she appears in something that's like far past its peak by the time a young actress appears in the franchise.
Maybe, but as far as it's like that's something I can recall seeing her. But
He is
I really
correct. Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest.
Really? Goddamn.
Yep.
I mean, you got the part 3 as well. Wow, goddamn.
Couldn't remember which franchise it was though.
It's a very valuable role. She is titled as Eli's follower. It doesn't have a name, so I don't even know if it counts.
No, it counts. She's in the movie. She's on screen, so it does count.
It counts. Yeah.
But no, yeah, but like I actually good.
No, good. No, please.
No, so yeah, I really do enjoy that thing you do. I find it to be like an underrated thing among Tom Hanks' filmography, just because the dude has just such a body of work that it seems to get forgotten about, but it really should because it's actually quite delightful, and it's definitely better than Forrest Gump.
Also, Liv Tyler's really great in it. She's really good.
Yeah, she is. She really
has the most emotional scene in the movie. That's almost like a Cameron Crowe speech that she delivers, with perfection. So,
bottom line, turn off Forrest Gump, burn your copies, and go watch that thing you do.
You're speaking on a pro Forrest Gump podcast.
Are we a pro Forrest Gump podcast?
Are you a pro Forrest Gump podcast?
We're on a
we like it. We like it, although we acknowledge that it is a little bit more fanciful and wacky than a straight up drama about somebody like that.
We don't hate it.
Yeah, we're not haters. Chance, what's the last movie you watched on Letterboxd?
Keeping the Hanks train rolling. The last thing I watched, I believe, was Captain Phillips.
Oh,
yeah. So this is on in my gym the other day. I was doing like cardio to it. I think I clocked like 212 my heartbeat. Most of that was from the cardio. The other one was from the fucking movie because I came in towards the end and I'd seen. I'm like, fuck, this movie's really great. And I went back home that day and I watched it again. And yeah, probably like the last great Paul Greengrass movie. I have not seen News of the World, so I can't speak to that one. But like, that's the last time I saw a Greengrass movie, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Did you see the Netflix one? That came with
July 22.
Yeah,
it's okay.
So I didn't watch it. So.
It's okay, but yeah, like I think that what he's able to do with this and just like build this such a tense environment, and for a lot of it, it's like it's really close quarter, like at least especially towards the end. Hanks is incredible in the film, but like the scene stealer, game stealer is Barkhad Abdi. Like he's an actor who I've championed since I saw that movie. I've constantly wanted him to work more, and I really do hope he gets more things because he is phenomenal in the film. And like honestly, what he brings to that character, just like a sense of sort of sympathy because like like he's not like inherently bad. Like that's the way they portray the character. Like of Somali pirates, like they're not inherently bad. They're just like raised to believe like this is what they have to do and this is what they have to do to survive. So it's just like it's not what they're doing isn't good, but it's like the situation they're in. And he's excellent. I honestly would have given him the Oscar over Jared Leto, mostly because I hate Jared Leto, but also because he's fantastic in the film.
What if they role switched and Jared Leto played the pirate, the Somalian pirate?
He'd probably do blackface because he seems like that kind of guy.
Oh, he definitely missed his shit. Blackface.
He definitely do blackface. But still, yeah, honestly, and it's one that I hadn't seen since I want to say the year it came out. I sat down and watched it. You come out. Honestly, I am reminded of why it was one of my favorites the year it came out because it's one of those movies that left me just it was super tense, and I don't experience that kind of tension in movies very often. It's like once every year maybe, and it's easily one of the most tense I've seen in the past 10 years.
No, interesting enough, I have also been someone who's championed Farhad Abdi and wondered why his career post this movie is kind of shit. He has a lot of like real nothing roles in stuff. Like he's in
Blade
the
Runner.
Gavin Hood film Eye in the Sky, where he's like
Yeah.
2 minutes as some
It's like on the street.
African person as a spy working for the U.S. government. Like, but he's barely in it. He's barely in Blade Runner 2049.
He got cut out of Trainwreck.
Yeah, he's barely in everything. That is also famously, like, if you look back at that year, really bad for the acting categories. That year, the Oscars, you basically have McConaughey and Leto pulling both wins for Dallas Buyers Club, and I think that looking back, we would probably prefer other people in both categories.
I mean, of the one, I'm not upset McConaughey won. I wouldn't have given it to him, but I would have given it to one multiple given to either. So
yeah, I mean, I will champion, and I know you disagree with this. I will champion Leonardo DiCaprio for Wolf of Wall Street. I think that performance is insanely good.
Of the nominees, I would have gone either Chiwetel or Bruce Dern. Actually, I think Bruce Dern is fantastic in Nebraska.
I would not have a problem with Chiwetel. He's great in that movie.
But I mean, the real best performances didn't even get nominated as Michael B. Jordan in Fruitvale Station.
Yeah, I mean, he kills, and that's like just one of the problems. Like, that's the movie that everyone learned about Jordan and Coogler for, but also the movie that was too small to get recognized for anything.
Yeah,
and that's why they'll probably later get recognition for something else.
Again, when they do that like whole Atlanta cheating scandal movie, which I hope they do at some point. It's not really interesting. That'll be the one like that gets them like Oscar love.
Absolutely. Zach, do you like Captain Phillips?
Yeah, I watched it recently in my Tom Hanks-a-thons. I think we can announce Tom Hanks the official patron saint of the Lucas and Zack podcast.
I think so. That's fair.
Yeah. Because this movie just missed out on our podcast twice now, because if it wasn't for the best movie of the 2010s to be a Tom Hanks movie, we would have done That Being Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. We would have done Captain Phillips for that day.
Yeah.
That for sure. And then boat movies, no one voted for, so we didn't get to do it. But Captain Phillips was on our roster to do for boat movies.
Zach and I were very salty when you guys picked plane movies over boat movies because we were excited to do Captain Phillips and Titanic, and
Overboard, Captain Ron. What's the rest?
See what other boat movies have you done?
Ghost Ship.
Ghost Ship. Poseidon Adventure, and then Poseidon the remake as well. Let's do both.
There's boats in Piranha. Do that.
We need to feature a boat.
Life of Pi.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Probably would have done Pirates of the Caribbean.
You're gonna do Pirates. Well, about this is great podcasting, by the way. Shit, what's the dumbass comedy without a paddle?
Oh, probably would have. Yeah.
The River Wilds with Meryl Streep.
Damn it. Chance said the last movie now, he wins.
The one where Josh Peck is cursing at kids. I don't know. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, shit. I saw that. Mean Creek. Yeah, I saw Mean Creek. And I was like, Josh Peck is going to break out of Drake and Josh. He's going to be the next big star. Fucking Mean Creek, man. This guy.
What about Adrift? We could have done Adrift. That's a really boring movie that we could have done.
I have no idea what that is. Oh,
that's
that's Shailene Woodley.
Woodley.
I think I've referred to that movie as something I have no idea what it is 5 times in the past year.
It's one of the most forgettable movies I've seen in recent.
But you love watching forgettable movies is something we realized instead of watching like important ass movies.
If you go look at my 2016, 2017, and 2018 watches, it's a lot of forgettable shit on there that I did not need to see. The last movie I watched on Letterboxd was David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet, which is the David Attenborough documentary where the basic concept is different from his traditional documentary where he would talk about a specific part of the animal kingdom or some kind of animals or some kind of animal habitat. Basically, David Attenborough looks at this movie and he wants to talk about how the world has changed, how we've kind of decimated our animal populations, how we've decimated our environment, the world that the animals live in. And he does this by grounding it in his own life, talking about how at different stages of life, what's the carbon level in the atmosphere, how much rainforest still exists. And you can watch as you go from the 1950s when he's not that young. He's like 40 years old in the 1950s. And we have like 65% of the rainforest still exists to now where we've lost like 20 to 25% of it. It's really heartbreaking, to be honest, to watch somebody who has spent so much of their life devoted to animals and animal habitats. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I basically grew up on David Attenborough, all those different series, Life of Birds, Life of Mammals, Life of Plants, Life of Insects, all that stuff was so fundamental to my understanding of the animal kingdom. And to watch this guy kind of talk about all the things he's done and how that so many of them are no longer attainable. Like, you can't even view some of these animals because they just don't exist anymore. It's not completely a downer. He does talk about what he thinks are ways that we could go forward, attempting to fix some of these problems so we can repair the harm we've caused. And it does end really hopeful. I think it's just kind of an amazing documentary from a guy who has lived so long and has had such a profound impact on a field of study. And I think a really interesting watch, whether you are someone like me who is kind of devoted to this guy as a voice, or you never heard him before.
So I should watch it because I am like an animal guy, and animal documentaries have been a big part of my life, my upbringing. I was much more of a Jack Hanna guy myself. If you ask like 10-year-old Zack who's your biggest hero, it was like Jim Henson, Jack Hanna. Those are my guys. And so I never watched as much of the more PBS serious animal documentaries that David Attenborough was going, but I always kind of wish I would experience him more. I like his message and his missions pretty much as why he did it, and so I would be interested in the documentary. But I also don't want to appease you, so I'll never watch it. I have to watch it on my own.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big on David Attenborough as apparently you are, but I do like the guy. Like, I actually used to, like, when I was younger, used to fall asleep to Planet Earth, just because like I love his voice so much.
Oh, it's a wonder! It's an all-time great, soothing voice.
Yeah, but I do. I still do like the documentary. I still watch Planet Earth. I've seen a bunch of other things he's narrated. Yeah, because like Zach, I do also like animal documentaries. My guy was Steve Irwin, just because he was fucking nuts.
And there's a reason that David Attenborough is still around.
There's a reason David Attenborough is still here. Steve Irwin is not.
Hey, Jack Hanna's still here and thriving, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Run into Columbus Zoo. Get it.
Was he on the tour with you, Zach, the other day?
The tour of the zoo? Oh, that would be lovely. Me and my sister.
Jack Hanna's cool too. I like Jack Hanna.
Yeah. Me and my sister, she wanted to be a photographer, and I was going to be like the animal documentarian and the one who knew it all, the zoologist. And we were going to be, her name's Hannah. We are going to be Zack Hanna as one name, like Jack Hanna. I thought this was the funniest joke as a 12-year-old.
You would have been laughed out of so many pitch meetings if you told that.
Up next, Zack Hanna. Get the fuck out of here.
Leave. Security, can you kick these people out? With that being said, let's continue on to a discussion of our main film, Top Gun, which incidentally is a Tony Scott film, and we just finished an entire month on Tony Scott. So Zach Ford, what? Yeah, I said it earlier.
Okay, I don't pay attention. That's what it makes it wasn't skipped. I was probably busy looking at the lyrics to Danger Zone.
Zach, are you excited to do a plot summary on another Tony Scott film?
Oh, it's going to be as good and as thorough as The Unstoppable one, where I basically just went train shit and then move on.
I mean, I can't really argue with you. Hit it, Zach.
Okay, so Tom Cruise, Dr. Green. Is that his name? Is it Green?
It is Green, yes.
Dr. Green. They're plane buddies. One of them rides the plane, the other one just like tells him what to do. I don't know what his job is. Anthony Edwards' job.
Say it with me. Co-pilot.
Co-pilot. There we go.
There you go.
They do like a bunch of crazy plane shit when they're in a battle. And then they're like, "Man, how dare you, Tom Cruise? You're a rebel and you don't follow rules, but also I've seen no one fly like you, boy. You're gonna, even though you just like fuck shit up and don't listen to anybody, you're gonna go to the Top Gun school, which is for the cool bros who are really good at plane shit. And so they go to learn fancier plane shit. And so they go to Top Gun. They meet Val Kilmer, who is not that Iceman. It's Mr. Iceman, please, which is the best part of the movie. When fuckface whatever his name goes, no, that's Mr. Iceman with full sincerity. Like that's what he should be called. And anyways, Tom Cruise continues to piss people off because he, violates the rules. He does flybys as pranks, yet somehow he's still allowed this very strict military academy because he's really good at playing things. He has sex with the teacher, even Kelly McGillis, who's like supposed to be helping run things. I don't know how that's appropriate for the rules. She probably lost her job. Meg Ryan comes in as Anthony Edwards' wife and baby mama, and she's charming. And then they just introduce her so then they can kill off Anthony Edwards because I forget why he died. But anyways, he dies. It's all real sad. Then a bunch of plane shit happens. They have to go to war, and Tom Cruise is the hero. And him and Kelly McGillis work at Top Gun and fuck on their brakes. I don't know. That's the movie.
Oh. All right, let's get started. Chance, you picked Top Gun.
I did.
You really wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
What place this? Tell us, Top Gun. What does Top Gun mean to you?
Top Gun, I think, it represents like a quintessential 80s movie. Just like from the soundtrack to the cast to just the way it's shot, the way it's tinted, the soundtrack, everything about this movie screams 1980s America. And that's why it's awesome. Like is it dated? Absolutely. But it's one of those movies, it's kind of like a goofy movie where it's just so dated, it's timeless. Because like you look at it, like this movie has like surprisingly stood the test of time. Like that, like for a lot of 80s movies, especially like one that are so of the time, that doesn't happen. And I think what separates this is, well, a lot of in-jokes, first of all. Second of all, a lot of in-jokes, maybe intentional, maybe not. But second of all is just a lot of personality. Because this was post-Risky Business. And this is the first time Tom Cruise really tried to be an action star. And, like people loved him in Risky Business. He had the charisma of a movie star. And it's him testing, okay, can he be a badass? And the answer is yes, he can. Despite the fact that they all bust out every trick in the book to make him look taller or as tall as his co-stars. Which I love this movie, but it is very noticeable in subsequent viewing. Like, wow, they really do everything to make him look taller.
That's why you just put him in a plane, because he's sitting down, you just see his head in the cockpit, and you don't.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, to me, like it's super fun. I think it's super rewatchable. It's got a lot of heart to it. It's got a lot of personality. It's got a lot of really cool action sequences and fucking jets. You can't move with fucking jets. What can you do?
I think the key to it, withstanding its 80s-ness, is that it just kind of owns it. Like, it doesn't take itself more serious. It's fairly, I think, self-aware. I mean, the volleyball scene especially, like, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's just making, like...
Does he, though?
I think he knows he's just making flash. That's just for entertainment's sake and what people are into. And it has the right level of, maybe incidental humor that makes it easy for us not to take it too seriously moving forward. That helps it lift past. Because honestly, I think that's what makes the movie work. I think it's good because of the cheesiness, because it makes it an easy and a fun watch. Some of the more dramatic elements kind of turn it more towards the negative side. I think having any kind of character depth with Tom Cruise does not really work because they don't earn it. It's also not the purpose. You kind of think he's a rebel because they tell you he's a rebel, but you don't see him doing that much. They try to add on the backstory of his dad was this star pilot and he has to live up to it. But once again, that's all just kind of told to us in exposition, but we never really understand the depth of that pain that he's trying to compete with. It's kind of just there to give him a reason to act like an asshole.
Well, I would agree with you in one point though. He does constantly disobey protocol in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this is also kind of the genesis of
I just get why he does, other than he's just being a dick. Yeah,
because that's the whole point. Is kind of like him realizing that attitude's not gonna fly. Literally, it's not gonna fly. So, but yeah, it's also I think kind of birthed the character trope of you break the rules, you do whatever you want, but you're damn good at what you do. So we're gonna let you slide. Because like that's like literally like what do you say when you see a character person who like breaks the rules and gets the job done anyways and gets like they not they breaks the rules, but he still gets the job done. They call him Maverick because of this movie, and I really believe it's because of this movie.
That's why that's the nickname at school, Maverick. They're like, Zack, we know you're like threatening to cut off kids' fingers and you break all the rules, but guess what? You're damn good at what you do, Zack. And I'm like, no.
But you get straight A's. Fuck it. What does matter?
It is kind of the birth of the Tom Cruise action character, because he's kind of this in a lot of his movies. Mission Impossible is kind of a spin on this as well, where it's like he's clearly very good at his job. He's clearly very talented, but he's a little bit of a dick and kind of hard to work with. And this is kind of that's something that Tom Cruise does in a lot of his movies, where thumbing his nose at authority, but being right and doing it is kind of something I think you see in a lot of Tom Cruise movies, where he does the wrong thing according to protocol, but the right thing according to the movie, and is rewarded for it. And I feel like that happens in Top Gun, that happens in some of the Mission Impossible movies. It sort of happens in like the Jack Reacher films. Like I feel like it's kind of a Tom Cruise action thing.
That's also kind of the point of Jack Reacher, though. Like he's someone that's good, but we're not talking about Jack Reacher, right? We're talking about
no, thank God.
Hey! I'm not taking a trash on Jack Reacher. Not here. Not my house.
Yeah, the kind of cocky, almost lone wolf type, like he's just the top of the pack. The alpha male that has to learn to work, together. It's kind of his thing.
It is interesting though, because I would not consider Tom Cruise to be the alpha male in this movie.
I would not consider an alpha male in general. We already made jokes.
I just think in this movie, particularly, I think he is blustery, but you see him take a little bit. He takes too much responsibility for his failures to be like a total alpha male. Like, even Edward seems a little bit alpha
males. They all think they're alpha males.
Kilmer is the alpha male. If any of them is the alpha male,
Kilmer's the alpha male because like he's like he's the ice cold pilot, but.
Yeah,
towards the end of the movie, when they're actually like in a combat situation, like who had to step in? Maverick.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of crazy. Sometimes you need a little bit of crazy.
It's more like the best player versus the captain of the team. Like Iceman will be the captain, but Tom Cruise is your like star player.
That's like a very good analogy. I agree with that.
Going back to something we talked about earlier, this movie has some not so subtle homoerotic elements. The volleyball sequence is a bunch of kind of sweaty dudes in jeans hugging each other after succeeding.
There's so many like really great out of context gay lines in this movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's literally a transgender joke early on in this movie. Where
that's of a lady this time.
Which movie is a metaphor for competing dick size. Like,
so there's that. One of my favorites is like it's one like the cap's yelling like, "I want somebody's butt. I want it now."
Do you think Do you think they realized in the moment how homoerotic this was, or was this just like? Because sometimes the 1980s movies are so hyper masculine they come off homoerotic.
I think that was like an accident because. Yeah. I'm not sure they were self-aware enough in the 80s to realize, because like we didn't start realize that's like mid 90s, where like people are just like they're just like so like masculine, so like machismo.
Predator's the same thing.
But Predator's in on the joke. Predator's in on the joke
a little bit, but it's also a bunch of like oiled up dudes. I mean, Rocky 3 is another example of this. They're running on the beach with like short shorts on, like. That's kind of homoerotic.
Yeah, but the whole point of Predator was that like it's both a bunch of like machismo, but they're put in a situation where they are like the victims. But that's another conversation with the damn Predator. Yeah. But I think with this one, like, it's just I don't know if they like. I would love to see like the reaction like post this movie when it came out. Just like, oh, like I wasn't anyone watched this and be like, oh no, what have we done? Whoops. Oh well, too late.
The 10-year retrospectives of Top Gun. I would love to see Tony Scott read a retrospective 10 years later of Top Gun, where probably all the film writers at the time were able to go, yeah, this movie is like kind of super gay in some moments.
Like really gay. That's like bad, but it's like really gay.
Okay, Tony Scott was into men in his way, and in his way on film. I think it's throughout all of his. Even in Man on Fire, you get like sexy Denzel Washington shirt off. He has a lot more of a male gaze than the female gaze always. I think he's very attracted to the idea of what now would be like toxic masculinity, but attracted to this like classic kind of bro-ish, show-offish sense of masculinity is like a fascination for him that comes with the ripped bodies and the sweatiness of it all. Because even like in the cockpits or just like some of
the cockpit
office, yeah, that's why he likes planes. There's just like sweat dripping down his face. He just like loves the look of a man sweat. That's just like a man.
There's so many sweaty men in this movie.
Sweaty men. It's not all shirtless, but I think he's just so attracted to that idea and that level of masculinity. That's I think, present in all his movies. Since it's the 6th movie of his now that we have watched in a row.
I think that so if you look at his life, he was married 3 times to different women. I don't think he is. We're not trying to make a statement about his sexuality in the podcast,
no,
but I think more than anything, he just doesn't care about female characters. Like I think it's sort of obvious in a lot of his movies that they are always secondary. Like his interest is always like he almost always has a male lead. He almost has a male second lead. There are female characters in his movies, but a lot of times they are somewhat underdeveloped or pushed aside.
Looking at his. If you look at like his filmography, like as a whole, his best female character would be like what? The most notable, most like developed female character would be what? Alabama in True Romance.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, or Kelly McGillis in this one,
or Kelly McGillis. Yeah,
like that's. But I don't even think Kelly McGillis is not. I don't think Kelly McGillis.
Deja vu. I think
the little kid in Deja Vu.
Your second biggest female role. That's a problem.
Little kid in Man on Fire. Yeah, there's not a lot of.
Dakota Fanning.
Dakota Fanning, Man on
Fire. I actually, and even in this one, I don't know if Kelly McGillis is that good in this movie, which is I think kind of interesting. Is she though?
I think she doesn't have much to do, but I think she's pretty charming, and
I think she's okay. I do think, and
you think she gets wiped off the screen by Meg Ryan, and that's the issue.
I do think it is watching this movie in the context of today. It is hard to look at a movie that has Kelly McGillis and Meg Ryan, and has Kelly McGillis in the larger role and Meg Ryan in the smaller role, and not think that doesn't make sense based on the current context. It makes sense
today.
It makes sense in 1986 because the careers were different, clearly. But Kelly McGillis' career after this kind of goes down, and Meg Ryan goes up and becomes the biggest rom-com star, female star on the planet.
I think no matter what, it makes sense based on their strengths. Like you're putting Meg Ryan in the role that she is better built for. And Kelly McGillis would not work in the role. Someone just like a firecracker. Her character is just a firecracker, and Kelly McGillis would not have that energy to come on and be charming and silly and over the top in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it made sense in '86 because like she was coming off a Witness.
Oh, she's great in Witness.
She's fantastic in Witness. And again, this isn't a role in Witness, but I do think for what she has to do in this movie, I think she's good.
She's good.
I think she's okay. I just think, I mean, a lot of it is just the movie. Like even I think this is a funny thing of the movie. The movie has a poster, which is the main couple, and I think they're trying to sell you this as Top Gun is about the main couple. And I think when you watch this movie, you walk away from going, Kelly McGillis is kind of irrelevant, and it's really all the guys. Like it would make way more sense if that Top Gun poster was, Cruise and Anthony Edwards, because I think that relationship is more important. Than
and also like in subsequent covers, like it's just Cruise and like a flight suit,
or even Cruise and Kilmer. Like it just feels like there's so many relationships more important in this film and to the overall narrative than Cruise and McGillis. Like their relationship, it happens, but there's like it has like one moment of tension where she kind of points out the thing about his dad, but outside of that, it doesn't really push the plot forward in any meaningful way.
I think the purpose of Kelly McGillis and those female characters for Tony Scott is to express the sexuality of Tom Cruise. It's to have someone there that is attracted to what Tom Cruise is packing. Because that, once again, that's what he's interested in. I think it's not the female characters. He's interested in the sexiness of men and the attractiveness of men. Not trying to put on a sexuality in Tony Scott. I'm just saying through his films, what is focal pointed is Tom Cruise as a sexual being in a way, or a item to be attracted to. He And Kelly McGillis is there to fall for that and be attracted to, not for us to be attracted to her. It's more the
He
opposite.
does spend a lot of time talking about Tom Cruise's like sexual appetite and conquests and history. Oh, this is going to be a big point of contention. I know. I'm just going to bring it up. I don't think Cruise and McGillis have any chemistry.
I disagree.
I don't think Tom Cruise has fucked outside of marriage in real life. This is my take. I think the amount of women he have had sex with is under 5. I'm calling it.
I mean, I'm not gonna speak to Tom Cruise's personal life because I don't know. But
I will. I'm fine with it.
Chance, are you saying you have not jumped on a couch and talked about a woman?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that. But
I thought we were gonna get an exclusive here. I was gonna put this exclusive.
Chance
Ellison's Oprah moment.
That's how Chance asks out every girl. He just reenacts Tom Cruise jumping on the couch.
Have you sung a song to a girl with your friends as a pickup move?
Actually, yes.
With your friends, isn't that?
Yes, I have.
But who's going to get the girl? You're all singing.
If you have to clearly set up, you're the front man. If you're the front man, they're the backup singers. It works.
So do you plan?
I was also a better singer. So
it's good. I appreciate this.
What song?
Huh? Same one. I busted out the same song.
Oh, yeah. You straight up doing impressions.
I did. Yeah.
This is a joke.
Same one. No,
he's trying to be Tom Cruise. All right, make your case. Make your case. Tom Cruise chemistry with female actors. No. This is the big one contention. I don't think, and I would take it beyond this movie. I don't think it's just him and McGillis. I think Tom Cruise always struggles to have romantic or sexual chemistry with his female lead. I think this is it's one of the reasons that putting Tom Cruise in action movies sometimes is the best, because it means he doesn't have to have the relationship. I think it struggles in this movie. I think it struggles in Rain Man. I think it struggles in a lot of his movies where it's like
Maguire. I think it does not work.
To me, it almost kills Jerry Maguire because
it does kill Jerry Maguire for me. I think
fuck off! No, I'm not granting you that one. No, him and Renee are great together. Hey,
do you know what works better? Elizabethtown better than Jerry Maguire. You heard it here first.
Fuck you. No, fuck you.
I'm not agreeing with that ridiculousness.
No, get out. This is my podcast now. But
make the argument. We don't have to dig into his entire career.
Right,
but just give him
make
the argument.
So what I will say is, I mean, yes, but like it's also like a lot of movies. It's also like not just the point of a lot of them. Like it's just kind of like a side thing. Like all he has to do is have like enough chemistry to the point where like you like okay, yeah, you can buy it. Like it's not like you're not like hanging your hat on like anything like any romantic Tom Cruise movie. However, I do think I do disagree with like the point that he has not had romantic chemistry with anybody, because I just don't think it's true. Like I point to this where I do believe that I think I remember reading like the sex scene in this movie was a reshoot because audiences demanded it because so much sexual tension keeps building and it never got released in the original cut. So I was like, no, put this in, goddammit, we need relief. But also Jerry Maguire, I disagree vehemently. I do think him and Ray are fantastic. I point to Eyes Wide Shut, which I watched recently, which yes, I know granted is helped by the fact that him and Nicole were together in real life at the time, but I do think that they are fantastic in that movie, and that literally hinges entirely on their relationship. And even something more recent I would point to Mission Impossible Fallout, which I know he's not supposed to have the best chemistry with Vanessa Kirby. This chemistry with Vanessa Kirby is really good, and it's kind of strange.
Interesting. I haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut in long enough to comment on that. I do think Tom Cruise has made a weird choice recently. Because Tom Cruise has not aged like most actors.
He hasn't. He's aged really well.
He has unfortunately started casting himself opposite people who are 20 to 25 years younger than him. Yeah. And it does get a little awkward when he's... it also was more awkward because he tries to play the same age as them. Like, he tries to play it like there's not an age gap. And while Tom Cruise has aged much better than most men in their 50s, he does not look like he is still early 30s anymore.
Like I know, like this is a big contention with American Made, which movie I really like a lot. But I know
I think it's okay.
Like, I know the whole like thing with him and the actress whose name I cannot recall right now, but she was
Sally. Isn't she from Parks and Rec?
Yeah, she was Jerry's daughter on Parks.
Jerry's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Millie.
Millicent, yeah.
Millicent.
Yeah, I think she's like, I just was just looking at this. I think she's like 37. She's like 20 years younger than him.
She's 37? Goddamn.
Well, 37 now. I mean, you forget Parks and Rec, she was, that's like 10 years ago.
Even like American Made, which was like 3 years ago, means she was like 35. She did not look 35.
No, she's young looking. But yeah, I do think also another big isn't the Mummy also have this problem? I believe Annabelle Wallis is his female co-lead.
Yeah, but that was also just like a poorly written relationship to begin with. Can't
100%. 100%. It's not 100% their fault. She is also like 22 to 24 years younger than him or something.
But I think just because like Tom Cruise, like I said, he has that like movie star charisma. Like you can buy it if it's well written and it's like you put him work into it. It's just a lot of movies don't do that.
I think it also just seems like he doesn't care about that part of the movie. Like he cares much more about the action or the thrilling aspects.
That's right. Like he cares about making the audience the audience experience the best possible, which is good on him. He's made an entire career out of that.
He does feel like in Top Gun, it does feel like he does the scenes with Kelly McGillis, and there always does seem like he's kind of rushing through them to get back to hanging out with the guys. Like that's really where he wants to be.
He wants to be in the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
was live.
This brings me to an interesting question I had while watching this movie, and I'm not even sure this matters. I don't think you can track what's going on in the plane scenes. Like I think you hear the chatter on the comms, and they say, "Oh, you have to spin this way. Oh, they're coming that way." I think it's completely nonsensical. I think you cannot tell at all where anything is coming from, where the threat is, where the other person is, what the relationship between everything is. I'm also not sure it matters. Because I think in some ways, Tony Scott's point is just like, look at all these planes flying around. Isn't this cool that planes fly and can move fast and shoot things?
Well, most of it's also that a lot of it's like training. So really, it's inconsequential for most of it until you get to the end. But I do think that I do understand that point, but it's also like I'm not sure if they had like the capability like to film like elaborate plane sequences in 1980s jet action sequences in 1986. But I think you understand enough of like they do get you to understand like the whole like fighter jet lingo. They do get you to like like you get them with like a proximity. You can't like tell where exactly everything is at any given point in any given dogfight. But I do think they do enough to get you to understand like the severity of every situation.
I do think is part of the reason that I don't think Tony Scott went back to planes is I think he likes the lingo, and he took that and went on to his future movies. But I think Tony Scott, one thing that really works in his future movies is you understand exactly where everything is in space. Like you understand the relationship of everything. And that's like always kind of a big part of his movies going forward is both the technical lingo and the functioning of everything around them, but also just like where everything is in space. And I do think, I think this is one of the areas where we differ is I do get a little bored in some of those plane sequences because sometimes it gets kind of long and you can't really tell where everything is. And I care when I'm watching the actor in the cockpit, but when it's just planes, a lot of it's just like you could cut 5 minutes here and I wouldn't care because I can't tell what's going on to begin with.
I think this was him like practicing what you'd become an expert with later, which is what I talked about during the last marathon, is that Tony Scott's really good at action through dialogue. Like create the same suspense and thrill without actually showing much action scenes. It's all through dialogue, like Crimson Tide's like a masterwork of that. And this is just didn't have the story that could still deliver the same effect because it's kind of like as you said, you just don't understand what's happening. But I think he's attempting to. Like all the action is kind of being recreated through their walking calls to each other playing because you really see so few of the plane, and I think creates the same sense of claustrophobia that adds to the tension that creates that kind of action feel without seeing the action happening because you see the sweating men in the cockpits, the sweat coming down. You kind of see he really creates it as a tight space. So I think he's trying to create, the sense of action through that contained space and through the tension of the dialogue between the characters rather than showing planes actually fighting each other. It just doesn't work as effectively as in doing it, Crimson Tide, when you don't actually see a lot of submarine warfare. It's all through the dialogue of the characters kind of recreating that action and the contained subspace.
The cockpits do really work for emotional breakdowns and for emotional stress and trauma because when there are several moments in the film where a character will start realizing how kind of crazy the thing you're doing, and they're flying, and this is how dangerous this is. And kind of that's like the thing that the best pilots have to block out is you have to ignore the fact that you're flying in a small, very fragile structure, that if anything goes wrong, you could be completely screwed. And you see it happen at the beginning and you see it after the death of Goose. But I do think the cockpit works really well because it's so claustrophobic. So, and you can just shoot straight in on the face and you can watch a character be like, oh my God, what on earth am I doing? I have family. I can't be up here right now. If one thing goes wrong, if the wind changes, I could end up dying. And I think it's really good for those scenes of terror and for emotional stress and trauma.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it comes inherently with where you're at. Like you said, it is very claustrophobic, and it's just like you in a space that's like the size of like a small closet. So I do think that aspect of the film like works really well, and yeah, I do think that it's kind of Tony Scott experimenting with that content, like you said, with in Crimson Tide. It's him experimenting, like, okay, see if I can do this. If I can do it here, I can try it with like other properties, and he does it well. I do think like you have to give props where it's had its genesis, and that's right here.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the last big thing we haven't talked about yet, which is, of course, the score and the music. The music is so important to this film.
Right.
The theme song for Top Gun, all the other songs. In some ways, if you were to take some of the scenes in this movie and take away the music, those scenes don't work. They work almost because the music is there. Like a lot of the shots at the beginning and the end with the Top Gun theme playing only work because the Top Gun theme is playing. If you had to watch those shots without the music, without the theme, you'd be like, why are you showing this to me? This is not that interesting. But it has that cool factor because the Top Gun theme is a pretty cool theme.
I think the music is horrible. It's like all trash ass music that like most 80s music is trash ass music. Like Harold Faltermeyer is, and let me get to my point before you stop with that face. But Harold Faltermeyer is like one of the biggest disasters that happened to music ever. Like fucking Beverly Hills Cop like almost ruins that movie because that score is so obnoxious and so 80s and dated and over the top. I think Chance he did not freeze. He's just really good at keeping that face. However, as I mentioned, there's a however. As I mentioned earlier, because I think this movie owns its 80s cheese so much that the dumbness of the songs and the Harold Faltermeyer music just kind of like earns it. I feel like it owns it. So I'm still able to find it enjoyable with this moment. If someone played it out of context of this movie, I will have to leave and take deep breaths into a pillow to avoid any further actions. But within the context of the movie, I think it works because this movie is all about dumbass fun, and the music is kind of dumbass fun, but it's trash. It's trash music.
All right, Chance, go off.
In the words of Vinny, my cousin Vinny, everything this guy just said is bullshit. This music is fucking awesome. Like the soundtrack, the Kenny Loggins theme. I do love the score. Like I said, the Top Gun thing with just the guitar riff at the beginning. It's become iconic at this point. Like when you go through a jet yard, you'll constantly hear in your mind the Top Gun theme. You can't do it and not think of that. And also Kenny Loggins, who I have a weird relationship with Kenny Loggins. I don't listen to much of music outside of movies, but when he makes a song for a movie, chances are it's gonna slap. And here is no different.
Do you know what else is horrible? Fucking Footloose. That song is disgusting. It's just disgusting. It makes me puke. Okay.
I mean, you can Footloose all you want. I'm not gonna like fight you on this one, but I do love the Top Gun. I do love the Top Gun soundtrack so much so that I actually own it on vinyl.
Oh,
yeah. No, I do love it. I think that it's one of the quintessential theme songs theme songs and soundtracks in general in movies. Like it's become an icon. Like and like the movie, it's like it stood the test of time.
I think it works because of its icon status. Because I know what I'm getting, so I can appreciate it as part of that. But once again, let's not act like this is top tier music.
Yes, it is top tier music, and Zach, you will shut your fucking mouth before I go to Madison and burn your house down.
You can stand there with your trashy ass Top Gun soundtrack, and I'll listen to my vinyl copy of Fifth Beale Street Can Talk and feel real good about myself and my sweater.
I'm gonna be able to. I do think If Beale Street Can Talk has a better song, but I do like the theme to this movie, and I think it does work in the context of the movie. I think in some ways it's like one of those situations where, like, I don't know if I'd listen to this outside the movie, but I think it works in Top Gun because of the sound just is melded well with the image. Like they both have that kind of over the top 80s.
It's really well edited. The music are actually really well edited.
Yeah.
Like they know exactly like when to cut to. They know exactly like how to time shots according to music. I think it's a really well done editing job.
Lucas, that was a very nice way to say the same thing I said in a much nicer, more manly way.
I'm trying not to get.
You now like to use the word trash ass.
I'm trying to confirm to get Chance's third appearance in the podcast booked before you really never leave that to happen.
Yeah, right now, Zach. I'm not going back just because of Zach.
the Lucas and Nolan show with Chance Ellison.
Wait, Chance has only been on for music-themed episodes. I think I also went on about trash-ass music in that episode. So
that was a fun one.
I can have rough music opinions.
There wasn't a ton of trash music in School of Rock, though.
No, the I called it trash rock. Is what's their face? I can't remember their name now.
Oh, the other band that he gets kicked out of.
Oh, right. Fucking No Vacancy. Yeah.
I want to talk about my favorite character in the film, which is, of course, Air Boss Johnson, played by Duke Stroud, who is just
coffee
grumpy.
guy.
Who's just grumpy and an asshole.
That's the guy who has the line like, "I want somebody's butt. I want it now."
He's great. And he's like the funniest. He's like the most classic military guy in the entire film. He's just like kind of rigid and has a bit of a stick up his butt and is kind of grumpy all the time and just has no patience for Maverick and respects him as a pilot, cannot stand him as a person. Is like, get the fuck out of my office as quickly as possible. I would like to spend as little time around you as possible. Just a small character that I enjoy. I think this casting
commanding officers are a lot of fun. Like Michael Ironside's really fun.
Michael Ironside's great. I love
his face from Back to the Future.
Oh, Strickland, yeah.
James Tolkien.
Playing the exact same character.
Yeah, he just has a great face and a great like commanding.
I'd like to bust your butt, but I can't.
This actually has like a really good like cast who would go on to other things, and even like people like Cruise, obviously Kilmer. Scared has a career. Ryan Pasdar does work. There's Tim Robbins. Like there's a lot of
Anthony Edwards saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, he did before he got crushed by a helicopter.
Yeah. Oh wait, I thought he had brain cancer. I need to rewatch ER. I he had like a tumor.
No, his ass got crushed to death.
Oh Jesus.
Anthony, let's talk about Anthony Edwards. He's like a great sidekick.
He is
really good sidekick in this film.
Should be the hero. I'm just saying. I'm gonna go back. I think he's the sexiest guy on the lot at Top Gun. I think he has the best sex appeal because one, he's fun. He's he acts like he's not confident in himself because like Tom Cruise gets all the girls. Be super confident. He just says that because he already has a girl lined up.
Yeah, Meg freaking Ryan.
He's fucking honest and stand up husband to her. He could get any girl he wants. Anthony Edwards. Came a long way from Revenge of the Nerds to look like this. I think he's a charming guy in this. He plays piano, and he's real. I think he's cooler than Tom Hanks. I think this is because I'm the Anthony Edwards movie. This is who I would see myself.
Yeah, that's why you identify Anthony Edwards, and that's why
he just seems like a good friend.
He's also a really good friend. Like he does. Like there are a lot of times in this movie he could have chewed Cruise out for screwing stuff up by, breaking protocol and stuff. There's a lot of times that he gets dinged for Cruise's actions and is a good friend who doesn't throw his buddy under the bus and tells him, I know you own it. Like he's a good friend. He holds Cruise to account for his actions, but also doesn't drag him through the mud because he realizes that Cruise is like, he's very cocky, but also very insecure. Like he's really trying to hold up to this legacy of his dad. And I think that's in some ways, I think we look back at Top Gun, we talk about how cocky he is and awesome and cool and everything. I think the most fundamental characteristic of Maverick is he is massively insecure and believes he's never going to live up to his dad. And I think it fuels every action in this film. He does all these huge stunts trying to get women because he doesn't think he's good enough as a person. Like he has to pull some big singing stunt. He has to pull some big thing to get a girl. And even the way he flies, like he doesn't think he's good enough. So he thinks he can't just do things the right, like by protocol. He has to do some crazy over the top, past the limit thing because he's trying to live up to the expectations of his dad. And I think Edwards is like the perfect friend for somebody who's that insecure. Like he's just very kind to him and understands that he's, there are times that he really does struggle, but that Maverick is a good person and not trying to hurt other people around him.
Yeah, I mean he's the one that kind of grounds him,
Mm-hmm.
which is why when he dies, like that's why he takes it so hard, because like he's had him by his side, and like, he's the one, of all the people in the movie, like Goose is the one person he feels like he has nothing to prove to, because he has that dependability.
Yeah.
Like you feel like the Goose is always going to be there, and then we put in a situation where he's not there anymore. He just that's why he spirals, because then he just like has all his like unchecked like emotion, all his like unchecked insecurity that he just doesn't know how to deal with anymore, because he basically lost his emotional support dog.
Yeah,
and
his unconditional love. Goose is his unconditional love. His love that is
Jiminy
always there, regardless of his actions.
He's a Jiminy Cricket. He's like the conscience in a way.
Basically, yeah.
And in some ways, Kelly McGillis has to fill that role after
Yeah.
we lose Goose, and that's kind of what is the conflict of the third act, is trying to find a new person to ground Maverick, or also allow Maverick to maybe let go a little bit of his whole
it's the
trying
whole
to love
thing,
his father's like legacy.
Exactly, the whole like thing in the movie is like trying to let go of the expectations like he thinks he has on himself. Like he can just be him. Like he's already like a great pilot in himself. He doesn't need to be like so extra.
Right. He could just fly the mission. He's
Just
clearly
fly.
very talented. Dude, like basically in some ways, be yourself and take the crazy expectations off.
And to work as a team, like to be not just a friend and a co-pilot to him, but to trust Iceman and the people around him, be part of
Yes.
this.
That's true. That's also true.
To be a wingman, not just the leader. He can also be the side guy.
Yeah. Trying to learning your place in the system.
That's the symbolism of him choosing to be a teacher. It's like he realizes he doesn't need to be, the shining light. He can prove himself in other ways. He can help other people. Because teacher is, as a teacher, we're just the wingmans of life. We help guide everyone through, and that's
Talking of Maverick as a teacher, does anyone have any final thoughts on the original Top Gun before we move on?
No, I think I feel like I said everything. I do still. I guess. Can I admit this movie has faults? Absolutely. Is it unintentionally hilarious at points? Absolutely. But will I turn on, watch it, fist pump to Kenny Loggins every goddamn time? Fuck yes. It is one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. I do think it's one that I think it stands out for a lot of people. It's because it's a fun watch. It's a good throwback, and it's one that it's become a pop culture icon for a reason, and it's because it's just people. It's a good crowd pleasing movie. I know it's not like high art or anything, but I love it. I think it's an enjoyable film, and yeah, I will continue to watch it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's completely something I've thought about a lot this year, is just like opinions on film and how we think about film. And I think that loving movies and giving high ratings to movies that we acknowledge are not perfect, but that we love and enjoy is totally valid, and something we should do more often. Something doesn't have to be a perfect movie to be a 5 out of 5. If you love that movie and love watching it, then just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect craft.
It sounds like you have a lot of conversations with this wise guy named Zack Ford.
I mean, I will admit, you and me talking has definitely changed my opinions on some things, and I've been thinking about this a lot. I do want to talk quickly before we wrap this up. Top Gun Maverick is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully this year.
Maybe.
Assuming
Hopefully.
it got postponed from last year because of,
exist.
I don't know if you guys have heard, we had this pandemic and it kind of screwed life up a little bit and caused us to have to change some things. But Top Gun Maverick is supposedly coming this year. I do not know the release date. And I wanted to, while we had an opportunity to talk about the original film, I thought, let's talk about our expectations. I'm assuming, Chance, you're very excited for Top Gun Maverick.
It was my number one most anticipated last year, before everything got pushed away. But yeah, I was very excited for Top Gun Maverick. I was literally going to go and see it opening night on the biggest screen I could find. It's not happening. That didn't happen. That's why I hate COVID. Doesn't matter what else it did. Took away Top Gun Maverick, bastard.
Yeah,
but now we have the Tom Cruise whooping ass double feature this year. Hopefully.
What's the other one? Oh, Mission
Impossible
Impossible. Right. July 2nd, 2021 is the scheduled theatrical release date right now. So hopefully we can make that. I think we have a decent shot of making that. That's 6 months away. That's a lot of time for things to get better.
I'll be fucking pissed if this goes straight to streaming. Not gonna lie, I'll be fucking pissed.
What if they postpone it to where you can then do a double feature in theaters of that and Mission Impossible?
That'd be the greatest day of life.
Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar. 'Cause here's my hopes, right? I think I'm gonna like this movie more than Top Gun. I think they're going to, modernize it and upgrade the way like Creed was updated. The Rocky franchise, I do like Rocky One actually still the best, but the rest of the Rockies, I think
I do agree.
No, Creed is better.
I think
No.
I think just an added kind of intelligence in the modern thing. It's going to avoid some of the cheesiness with still having a level of fun that I think will add. And Miles Teller, I'm not trashing Tom Cruise, but he is undeniably a better dramatic actor than Tom Cruise.
I'm not going to go there.
Actor. Yes, I think that is.
Hey, Miles Teller. I'm a big part of the Miles Teller fan club. I have a lot of stock in Miles Teller. Also, Glenn Powell, who looks awesome in this movie. I'm very excited to see him.
So glad he got to be in the movie anyway.
Yeah, very excited for him.
I assume he's like the Iceman role in this, right? Like
I believe he is. I believe he is. Isn't he Isn't he? No. Miles Teller is Goose's son.
So yeah, that was the role they both were up for. Miles Teller got it, but then they brought Glenn Powell in anyway.
Which is hilarious because Glenn Powell actually looks like Anthony Edwards and Miles Teller does not.
Because essentially he's keeping the same emotional themes of the movie, right? Still trying to live up to the reputation of your father. It's just taking now Goose is the father and it's his son trying to live up to that.
But I think that what we saw from the one trailer we had, I do think that it looks like they do like a really good job of filming the jet sequences in this one.
It looked awesome. The trailer
it looked fantastic, and like the fact that they're doing all these like practical, the fact that like Tom Cruise will push himself in a way that no other actor in Hollywood does right now. Where he learned to fly a fighter jet, like for real. Like I think it's incredibly impressive, and yeah, I'm like night one, even if COVID's still going on, which probably will be in July. I'm gonna be in the theater. I don't care. Yeah. I'll mask up. I'll Lysol. I'll
do it.
If I have to. I will be there.
I do think the one thing that does a little bit worry me about this is Joseph Kosinski does not have the best reputation as a director.
He's gotten better.
Yeah, he's okay, but he's like, I feel like Joseph Kosinski at his best is like serviceable blockbuster director. And I do wonder what the difference is going to be. I mean, Tony Scott, obviously early on in his career with Top Gun, but Tony Scott is kind of a real visionary. Like he has a real idea of what he wants his movies to be. And Kosinski feels a little bit more like he's a product of the system. Like,
but he is also not the auteur of this movie. If anyone has more creative, it's Cruise.
Well, the reason that Kosinski is on this movie is because of Cruise. Because
it's someone who's going to listen to him and work with him.
Yeah. That's what he does. He hires people he's comfortable with, and he's clearly comfortable with Kosinski.
And Kosinski's worked with Teller before, and Teller was quite good in Only the Brave. So
yeah, I really like Only the Brave. That gives me hope this is actually going to be like really great. And it's going to change the world. It's going to change the world.
It's going to change the world. Yeah.
Yes.
I did see an article the other day that was basically theorizing that they should put this on Paramount Plus because this is their movie to grow Paramount Plus the way that other networks have taken streaming services.
You had your goddamn movie. You sold to Amazon, you dumb fucks.
What movie was that?
Coming to America.
That's a good point. I saw this and somebody was talking about it, and it's a fair argument to say if you're going to start a new streaming service, you obviously want something big to draw people to it. Wonder Woman 84 to Hulu to HBO Max, and The Mandalorian to Disney Plus. I do think, even in the age of COVID, acknowledging the financial constraints, I don't know if they're going to put $152 million movie on Paramount Plus, a streaming service that no one cares about.
Not to mention, like
they'll have
Cruise has a ton of clout at Paramount.
Oh yeah,
so like the last thing they're gonna want to do is piss Cruise off, and what piss Cruise off? This movie going straight to streaming.
Stu's gonna do what you want to do because like Warner Brothers pissed off Christopher Nolan. Who gives a fuck?
But that was no one pissed them off because they still released the movie.
Yeah, but Chris Nolan's still pissed off.
He's still pissed off. He's pissed off for everybody else, and even like look what Denis Villeneuve did with Dune. Like he's like, hey, I'm not happy about this. Now that's going straight to theaters. Like no Max release for Dune.
I think.
I mean, to be fair, Dune was gonna be a bust. Like regardless if they put
Dune will be a bust no matter what. No matter as much as I'm looking forward to it.
That was the worst business decision I've seen in recent years. Like giving that much money to that movie is
Dune is the next MCU. It's the next big franchise.
There should be like the next Star Wars movie is secretly Dune, and see if they can trick people to show up.
Everybody cares about that spice, baby. I do think the reasonable expectation is that Paramount's going to have their cake and eat it too. They're going to release it in theaters. They're going to put it on Paramount Plus in 3 weeks after its release.
You know what I think they'll probably do? They'll probably do the 3 weeks later, but they'll make people pay $25 for it on Paramount.
Like what I just fucking said, asshole.
You just
hey, as long as it goes to theaters and I can go watch it, I'm fine.
You want to see this in IMAX, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. I say yeah, like I see movies in IMAX. It sounds exciting. I just don't do it.
I'd be excited. Zach, Hans Zimmer is supposedly doing the score.
I mean, I have A-list, so like there's no extra charge for it. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll see it on IMAX.
Oh, nice. Any final thoughts on Top Gun or Top Gun Maverick, which will surely be the greatest movie of 2021?
Absolutely, it's going to be the greatest movie of 2021. It's going to, like I said, it's going to change the world. Like I said, once that comes out, COVID will be a thing of the past. I guarantee it. But no, yeah, like I said, love Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick. Well, let's say the last year. Probably, if I'm counting rollover, it'd probably be like top 1 to 3 of this year.
Ooh, what is past it, if anything?
Huh?
What is past it, if anything?
It's hard this year because like so many things are rollovers.
I know, it was so weird looking at my last year's list of 2020 most anticipated, and like 5 of the movies I saw. Like I usually see like 18 of them because I'll see, occasionally I'll skip something because it comes out and is so bad. But yeah, rollover was crazy, and I basically just rolled over like half of my old list.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Tom Cruise fuck yeah double feature this year. But no, yeah, I mean, I love Top Gun, and can't wait. Thank you for having me talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Ford, do you have any final thoughts? Are you doing like crap on the movie music that he loves?
Hey, the movie's fun. The music is fun. Neither are necessarily good, but it's enjoyable.
I like how you said fun. You could have just stopped at fun. You had to take the dig, didn't you?
You had to keep going. You had to push it, motherfucker. You had to push it.
No, I'm good.
Absolutely. And with that being said, thank you to Chance Ellison for coming on, being our first ever 2-time guest. We will be sure to have him back for Thursday.
He's done. So 2-time and out. Because I'm a jerk.
Because Zach's an asshole. Yes.
He will agree to come on the show when it's called the Untitled Lucas Podcast.
Yes. No gotta deal with Zach.
Zach is muzzled next time. Let's do an entire podcast with Zach muted.
Yes. Perfect.
That's called The Music Man.
It is really called The Music Man. With that being said, thank you to everyone for listening. We'll be back next week, week 2 of Play Movies, and we're doing Air Force One. Zach Ford, do you want to sing us out?
Yeah, baby. Watching every motion in my foolish lover's game. This is a slow one. On this endless ocean, finding lovers know no shame. Turning and returning to some secret place inside. Watching in slow motion as you turn around and say, all together now, Lucas and Zack podcast. The Lucas and Zack podcast.